Next fight coming up. This one's intriguing to me many, many ways. Claudio Silva is taking on the late replacement, James Krause. Now, Claudio Silva is maybe the saddest story in the UFC right now. Dude is 14-1. That one has a giant asterisk next to it. He should be undefeated. He's 38 years old. We missed his prime years with him not being, he wasn't competitive in the UFC. There was like a 4-year gap in there. And he reminds me of Damian Maia, man. This guy has that reckless striking, the club and sub, let me just rock you, stun you, close the distance. And then he's a gold medal, world-class Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, smothering top game. If he gets on your neck, you're not going anywhere. This guy is world-class on the floor. The only issue is those golden years are gone. Now he's getting old, and he's completely outclassed on the feet. So it's sub or bust for this guy. But he keeps on subbing people. So now we get James Krause coming in here. Like I said, short notice. He's coming in on 1 week, same as his last fight that he took, where he lost via incredibly controversial split decision against Trevin Giles. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt himself. Obviously, there's levels to this, so we can't necessarily say he's on the same wavelength there as Silva. Very well-rounded, good underhooks, uses his head well when he's up against the cage, strong in the clinch, log jab, very, very mixed up arsenal on the feet. He's got a lot of different weapons and tools, nice head movement. I love James Krause. He's a guy I love to bet on, but he's got a 50% takedown defense. I think Claudio Silva is very, very live, and they're giving us plus 160 in this spot. Man, talk to me. Talk me off the ledge here. I'm thinking about pulling the trigger.
So this one was one that I was like, all right, I like James Krause. Pre-tape. Pre-tape, I like James Krause. Going into tape, as I'm watching Claudio Silva, I'm like, Claudio Silva, this guy, he has the chops. I even bet him against Danny Roberts. I'm like, all right, that guy's going to get the sub. And that was a sweaty one. If you remember that Danny Roberts fight, that was a sweaty fight. And then I finished up my tape on James Krause, and now I'm back on the Krause train. So I am on the Krause train for this fight, strictly due to the fact that I think that a lot of people are overlooking the black belt of James Krause here. Like, he's not going to go out there and just give up his back and get choked out. That's not what's going to happen. And like you alluded to, Claudio Silva is getting older. He's 38 years old now. The guy does not have that much time in the cage as much, like, compared to James Krause, who's just been getting in there whenever the hell he wants. You know what I mean? He put up a really good fight against Trevin Giles last time around. Like you said, very skeptical scoring of that first round by that one judge, because if that judge gave that to James Krause like he should have, James Krause is riding a winning streak right now. So I like James Krause. He has great striking, great timing on his striking too. I love his calf kick because I think that's going to be a big part of his game plan in this. I love Krause in the spot. We've seen Claudio Silva reversed by Danny Roberts. We've seen him swept by some of these strikers, not even guys that are grapplers, strikers he's getting reversed by. And then one of the conditions that I talked about earlier in the show, cardio. It seems like Claudio Silva has an issue with cardio, and if he's not able to get that first round sub, I think it's going to be a little bit difficult for him to actually sub a solid black belt in James Krause, who has some solid submission wins of his own. I think it's going to kind of play out like the Sergio Moraes fight, where we see Claudio actually get the takedown early, but then he's not going to be able to get that submission successfully. He's going to be working. He's going to be squeezing. The muscles are going to get tired. He's going to get tired. And then come second and third round, we're going to see James Krause go out there, pick him apart on the feet, and possibly get a third round stoppage. So I know I see the love for Claudio Silva out there. I know that line is going to start coming down. Even right now, we got minus 175 for James Krause. I think it's going to close even more. I think people see plus money beside a guy who is pretty much on a 13-14 fight winning streak, hasn't lost in the UFC, has Leon Edwards on his record. That was a very close fight. That went to a split decision too. But I like James Krause here, man. I think he's a more all-around complete fighter, better gas tank, and I think he's very live for a third-round finish. So I know you like those round props, so I'm going to be keeping my eye on that third-round prop for Mr. James Krause.
Hey, Krause round 3. That would be a way to look for sure, because the gas tank of Claudio Silva is very, very suspect. And, I'm glad you brought up the Leon Edwards fight. That's one thing that actually kind of put me back on the Silva train, is that he can win a decision. And Krause's 50% takedown defense, he's the type of black belt that's willing to play off of his back, and that concerns me, especially on 1 week's notice. You're not drilling your wrestling, you're not drilling your takedown defense to make this a stand-up fight. If he gives into that wrestling, Silva's not necessarily sub or bust in this fight. He could win a decision here, sinking the first 2 rounds in, staying alive in round 3. Hell, draw is possible. If he survives the onslaught in round 3 and Krause puts a 10-8 on him, I could see this one making it to the judges' scorecards.
My concern about that Leon Edwards fight, it was 6 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Long
my
time
only
ago.
concern about it, right? With the guys put on 6 years of age as well as 6 years of wear and tear. Obviously, not fighting in the cage or anything like that, but still, like that has a lot to do when you're 38 years old and your game plan is to go out there, take guys down, use your energy as much as possible. You're probably going to gas out a little bit quicker at 38 than when you did when you were 32. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
I like
Absolutely.
Krause here. I would just if you want to bet Claudio Silva, bet him now because you're not going to get a better price than right now because people are going to hop on him. And me being the Krause backer, I'm going to wait probably till even Friday, and hopefully we get like a minus 140 James Krause because that would be great. But I love James Krause in the spot, and I will probably be hitting that round 3 prop as well.
There you go. There you go. And you know what, man? This is one that I waited. There was something that held me back. You know what I mean? I locked in a couple of bets, and I'm sitting there going, I think I like Silva here, and my fingers hovering over the button. I'm like, why am I not pressing this button? So there's some spider sense tingling going on here that's kept me from actually making that a bet. I do want to go ahead and take this moment to let everybody know we do these types of shows, we break down these fights, we share our knowledge with you guys, but at the end of the day, if we're not putting a bet in, we're not confident enough to put our money where our mouth is, so take it with a grain of salt. Like I said, I like Silva. I might lock in Silva later on. We'll see. I've got some more research to do, some more planning to do, but don't jump all over Silva and then be like, Clint said Silva. Like, if I didn't bet it, if I didn't bet it, it's not happening.